welcome back to the Very Factual podcast. I'm your host, Izabella. Kayla is not joining me today. She is on vacation right now, but she missed some amazing Premier League games this weekend. The biggest one was Manchester City versus Chelsea. Chelsea would travel to Manchester and took a point off City with a 1-1 draw. A lot of the game stayed quiet, with both sides having limited shots on net, and it was Chelsea who would get the lead first in the game with a Raheem Sterling goal. And in the 63rd minute, Rodri would make sure City walk away with a point. I was very shocked with the result. I did not expect this, even though I am a Chelsea fan and I want to believe in them. I just thought when they go against City, they literally have no chance. I think if you look at all of Chelsea's results this season, Chelsea's best games have always been against the biggest teams. Like last time they played Manchester City, it was a 4-4 draw. They played Arsenal, they got 2-2 draw. The beginning of the season, they played Liverpool, I believe it was also a 2-2 draw, and they're kind of always like, hey, we're as good as you, we're trying to show we're good as you, and they turn into a good side only against those big six teams, which I wish they could do more consistently against the other teams. But City in this game, they were not at their best. They had a lot of trouble finishing, which is not what we usually say about City. I feel like they're always very clinical in front of goal, and that was not them in this game. They had a crazy amount of chances. They had 32 shots and only 5 on target, which is very un-City-like. I feel like they have a lot of goal scorers, and we saw Rodri being their savior once again. Haaland, he literally turned into Darwin Núñez for this game, which is so unlike Haaland, and he literally could have scored super early in this game and gave them a lead, and just that whole, like the beginning of 10 minutes, beginning 5 minutes, City were always at Chelsea's net. I think Nathan Ake also had a chance that could have went in, but I think our man of the match was definitely Petrovic. For Chelsea, it felt like he didn't even have to make a single save. Our back line, I feel like it's not the strongest if you compare it to some other teams, but we held it together somehow. Disasi, Colwell, Malagusto, they looked amazing in this game, and we just need to stick with it. We didn't give in to City. We didn't give in to their tactics. We didn't give in to their players. We showed fight and we showed urge to get something out of the game, and we're going the right way. But the thing about Chelsea is that once they get some positive results and people start believing in them again, they prove us wrong. They get bad results for a few games, but consistency is key. Pochettino said that, and we struggle with that. And the thing for City, I don't know what's up with them. I feel like they cannot keep a clean sheet anymore, and they've been struggling with that for a while, like the beginning of the season as well, compared to last season and this, last year this time. They were keeping clean sheets like the back of their hand. They did it so easily, and their defense has been struggling with a lot of speed, which is, again, very concerning. I feel like a lot of their defenders are very fast, like Kyle Walker. He's one of the fastest players in the Premier League, and I feel like we've talked about City's runs after Christmas. We talked about how they always bounce back, they become unstoppable, but they haven't, even though I think City have been good, I feel like they haven't been as convincing as I thought. I literally thought they were going to be like Invincibles. I don't think it's super major, but it could be a concern. They need to pick it up. They're in 3rd place. Arsenal's ahead of them. Liverpool's ahead of them. It is a 3-team title race. We didn't think it would be like this in the beginning of the season, but now they need to find a solution. If their defense does not pick it up, I think the title, I don't want to say this, but I think the title could slip with them, because you see Liverpool are getting these results. They're grinding no matter what, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. And Arsenal, they're scoring goals recently I don't even know. They just went on this goal scoring run. They resurged, they're still in the title race, and the City need to be aware, because they could end up not winning the title this season. Liverpool would play in the early Saturday game and get a 1-4 win against Brentford. Darwin Núñez would open the scoring in the 35th minute, and in the second half, Alexis McAllister, Mohamed Salah would both score, putting Liverpool 3-0 up. Ivan Toney would get one back for Brentford, but it wasn't enough as Cody Gakpo would seal Liverpool the win with a goal in the 86th minute. Okay, the big talking point from this game is the players that got injured rather than the result. I feel, yes, Liverpool won, they got 3 points, but a lot of their players got injured in this game. Curtis Jones, Klopp said after the game, he picked up a knock injury, which is good news. Like, he was holding his ankle a bit, it was something below his shin, and he kind of limped off the field, but he could still walk off. Darwin Núñez went off at halftime, but he was just feeling something and it was precautionary, so hopefully it doesn't turn into anything serious. But the biggest one of all looks to be Diogo Jota. It looks to be the most serious one. He had to be stretchered off. It was something in his knee. He collided with one of the Brentford players, and losing Jota is going to be a blow. I think I've talked about it before. I think Jota is so underrated. Like, it's insane. He scores goals. He comes off the bench. He always gets the job done. He's amazing in the air, especially for his height, because he's not that tall. But I think he is one of the best. I say this all the time. I think he's one of the best finishers in the Premier League, and he should definitely be up there with some of the best goal scorers. But I think something that maybe eases the concerns is that Salah is back. And, they have another person who can get goals for them. I mean, they have a whole lot of amazing forward players. Gakpo, Núñez, he's starting to look up to form, Luis Diaz. And I feel like they have that depth. So because Jota was injured in the beginning of the season, and he also didn't play, so I don't think it's going to be that bad for them. But, he's an amazing player, and, it's just going to be really bad to miss him. And Brentford, you look at the score, it was 4-1. And that was because Brentford's defense was literally horrendous. And Liverpool capitalized on every single chance they got, even not at their full strength. Like, they're missing Trent Alexander-Arnold, no Alisson in this game. Like, Liverpool had the whole game under control. They did not let anything get them down. They just kept pushing and pushing, going forward, and they all played together. And Darwin Núñez, I mentioned him a little bit earlier, he's getting better. Kayla said last episode that Darwin Núñez is like flying under the radar, and I completely agree with her. Like, he is finishing his opportunities right now. He's very talented, but sometimes he thinks too much. He kind of overcomplicates some things, but we are starting to see Darwin get comfortable more and more every game. And I think I said this last episode, when, especially a striker, because Darwin Núñez is a striker, on any other Premier League team, on any other team in the world, usually when their striker can't score goals, the fans turn on them. So like, if they don't get a certain amount of goals, they'll be like, what is he here for? And they'll just hate on him. But Liverpool fans, even though Darwin doesn't get, like 52 goals a season, Haaland type, Liverpool fans love him. They just back him, and they always say, oh, he's getting more comfortable and he's getting more used to us. And I just love that from Liverpool fans, because it is giving Darwin that confidence. If you think about it, like, he is getting more goals, and Liverpool fans keep building him up, building his confidence. And maybe he can get into a bit of more consistent goal scoring, but we'll see. Arsenal's goal-scoring streak continues as they beat Burnley 0-5. Martin Odegaard would give Arsenal an early lead in the 4th minute, which led to Arsenal run riot with goals coming from Bukayo Saka twice, Leonardo Trossard, and Havertz. Arsenal are on a goal-scoring frenzy. They've literally outscored their opponents 21-2 in their last 5 games, which is insane that they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 5 games. And we've been complaining on how Arsenal, they need a striker because, Gabriel Jesus is not that type. They don't really have players that can score for them consistently, but they proved us wrong. I think their players have just hit form at the right time. They're showing what they can do, and you can see that you can say that it was just Burnley, and they've had a really bad season. Like they haven't lived up, to Premier League expectations. They probably shouldn't be in the Premier League, but it was impressive. And I think Arsenal are playing probably the best currently, along with Liverpool. Maybe you can throw City there and there, but not really sure. Arsenal are now 2 points off of Liverpool, who are in first, and City are 2 points behind Arsenal, which is probably, it's not something I thought I would see. And we saw last season, Arsenal were in like this exact same position, just with City, though. Liverpool were not in it, and Arsenal bottled the league. And I think you could say that they have experience now. They have some more experience. They kind of saw what happened last year, and they learned from it, and they kind of made a comeback this season, just as we thought they were out of the title race. They just had like this amazing resurgence after Christmas, and I don't think Arsenal will win the title. Just maybe it's my Chelsea bias, but like I don't see them winning it. I think it's going to be between City and Liverpool, but I think Arsenal will come extremely close. Spurs hosted Wolves, and Wolves stunned, beating Spurs 1-2 on Saturday. It would stay 0-0 for the majority of the first half until João Gomes broke the deadlock in the 42nd minute. Just after halftime, Dejan Kulusevski would give Spurs a lifeline with a goal in the 46th minute, but João Gomes would eventually get the 3 points for Wolves with a goal in the 63rd minute. Okay, the goals don't tell the whole story of this game. Like, Wolves could have had so much more. Every time they were on the break, they looked dangerous. They looked like they were going to score each time, and Spurs just couldn't take their chances. They had a bit, but I don't know if it's because Wolves players are so in form right now. Wolves just looked so much better than Spurs. Spurs had 15 shots in total, and Wolves had 12, and shots on target, Spurs had 4 and Wolves had 7, so Spurs were definitely more clinical. The Spurs, I think why Spurs lost this game, this is probably the main reason, is because Spurs like to attack. I think Postecoglou has just changed that. We've always seen Spurs kind of sit back and defend, especially under Antonio Conte, and that's what they had to do in this game. They had to sit back and defend because Wolves was always at their net. They were pressing and not letting them, attack, and Spurs struggled. They looked really uncomfortable. Like, they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. And like I said, Wolves have been in amazing form. Their whole front line has looked so good. Like Pedro Neto, João Gomes. And I think Wolves, they found like Spurs' weakness, and they just hit them. And they kept hitting them, and Spurs didn't know how to cope. Like, there was this one point where Ben Davies, he had an opportunity to score, but it was off a header, and he cleared the header instead of scoring it. And I think it wasn't Spurs' day. And even though they had way more possession, it was 71-28. It just shows Wolves were way more clinical in this game, and they found that weakness, and they knew what buttons to press to break down Spurs. Manchester United would continue their winning streak, winning against Luton 1-2. The goals came right out of the gate. Rasmus Højlund scored in the first minute and in the 7th minute, but Luton would get one back in the 14th minute, but it wasn't enough as Manchester United continue climbing back up to the Champions League spots. Kayla's probably so happy about this. I have to be nice for Manchester United. I have to, try to give Kayla's point of view. United just started straight off. Like, Rasmus Højlund, he has been amazing. That is his 6th consecutive goal in 5-6 games, and he's incredible. I think, it took him a while to kind of get comfortable and build up, but he literally set a record in this game. He is the youngest player ever to score in 6 successive Premier League games. and it's crazy. I think he's kind of turning into that striker United need, and they have been needing for a while. And I just, it's so hard for me to be nice to this team. And then he got another goal in the 7th minute, and it was Garnacho's strike, but it hit off Højlund's chest, and I think Luton were so confused by that and just didn't know what was going on, and that kind of tricked them. And then when Luton got their goal, it was, I would say, partially United's fault. I think it deflected off of Shaw, and then it gave Carlton Morris an easier run on, and it just it was all right. But United, they have been getting better and better, and we've definitely seen that. Luton, I mean, they are a good side. I think they could potentially stay in the Premier League because there are some way worse teams, and Luton are fun to watch. They're one of those sides that you enjoy. You enjoy how they play. You enjoy kind of that underdog story. You enjoy their stadium. Their stadium's very wholesome. I would say Luton actually had more possession in this game. They had 58% possession. United had 41. Shots on target, Luton had 4. United had 9. Shots overall, it was actually pretty even. Luton had 22 and United had 21. And United are just, they're getting better and better. They're 4 points away from Champions League qualification. I feel like, I don't know what was said or what went on, but they look more together. They look like they have more unity. They look like they have fun with each other on the pitch. They look like they want to be together. Like you saw that celebration with, I believe it was last game. It was Højlund, Kobe Mainoo, and Garnacho. They were all sitting on the billboard and kind of hugging each other. And that is what you want to see in a team. That is unity, and that's something United haven't had in a while. And that's something they struggled with, especially with past players, past managers. But something clicked recently. I don't know if it was Ten Hag or something. And Kayla said this last season. I think they're kind of blocking out the press or something, or they're trying to prove everyone wrong. And I don't know if United will end 4th or get into top 4 just because, I mean, they definitely could, but we still have a lot of the season to go, and you have Villa and Spurs kind of also fighting for that spot. So I think it's going to be down to Villa, Spurs, and United. And if United can continue and not let anything get in their way, they won their last 4 games, they drew one of them, and that's a good record. That's better than Villa and Spurs had in their last 5 games. And United have Fulham next weekend, and Fulham, they have 2 losses, 1 win, and 2 draws. But I never thought Fulham were such a bad side. I think they were definitely one of the best stories, especially last season. But United are going to have to fight. They're going to have to show something. They're going to have to show even more unity and show that they belong in that top 4. Because, we saw they finished top 4 last season. They played Champions League. They got eliminated in one of the easier groups, I would say. But it's all going to be down to that. And if they bottle it again, if something goes wrong, if one thing goes wrong and they capitulate like they have been doing a lot, then you're gonna see how weak that unity is. But for me, it's looking strong right now. And I don't want to say this, but hopefully, they continue this. And that is all the games I have for you guys today. It's a shorter episode because it's just my opinions, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next weekend. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Very Factual Podcast.